What's up, everybody? Welcome to Let's Make Dinner, your audio library of amazing dinner recipes you can always get on the table. I'm your host, Susie Weinrich. All right, guys, today I'm going to share with you how to make a really simple barbecue beef that shreds up tender and delicious. It's triple flavored from the seasoning, the braising liquid, to barbecue sauce. It makes amazing barbecue beef sandwiches. To put it together, it takes like 15 minutes, and then it just cooks in your oven for 3 hours. You could also do it in the slow cooker if you want, but really most of the work is hands off, and you're going to have such a good dinner. So let's get into the recipe. All right, we're going to start this recipe by making a homemade dry rub that is barbecue in flavor. So it's going to start with 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and then 1 teaspoon each garlic powder and onion powder, half a teaspoon or more if you love it like I do, smoked paprika, and half a teaspoon of dry mustard. You're going to want to get that all stirred up and make sure that the brown sugar is completely mixed in to the spices and that there's no clumps of brown sugar left over. So at this point, you're going to actually reserve 2 tablespoons of this dry mixture that we'll use at the very end of the recipe after we've cooked the barbecue beef. Now, like I said in the beginning, the cut of meat you want is a chuck roast for this recipe. It is such a versatile and delicious cut of beef. You want to make sure to take it out of the packaging and then give it a really good dry with paper towels or a clean kitchen towel. And then we're going to cut the beef into 3-inch pieces. This is going to allow it to cook in a 3-hour period and give us more surface area to flavor. So if there's any really large chunks of fat on the outside, go ahead and cut those off, but don't cut away all the fat. Some of that will lend to the flavor of this dish. So I've got these cut up really nice into 3-inch large pieces. Now we're going to use the remaining dry rub that we made over all sides of this beef. You want to make sure you get it on all sides, turn it over, turn it on its side, and then I like to kind of give it a good press so that that spice adheres to the beef. We're done with that part. Go ahead and set that to the side. And what you need is a large, heavy pot that has a lid that's oven safe. So I love my Dutch ovens. They work perfectly. So we're going to make a braising liquid to cook the beef in. It's going to start with 2 cups of beef broth, and then you're going to use 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, 1.5 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and then you're going to crack open 3 cloves of garlic, and then quarter 2 onions. You can use white onions or yellow onions work great. Now that that's done, we're going to pop that beef back into the pot, and I like to kind of mop up some of that dry rub that maybe didn't get on the beef before I put the beef into the pot. Pop the lid on, 325 for 3 hours. I've got this beef hot out of the oven, and I checked when I took it right out. It is so tender. It is like fork tender, which is exactly what you want. So what we want to do now, I'm going to move this over here, is take these beef pieces out of the cooking liquid. So, oh my gosh, so good. And I'm going to pop them on a rimmed baking sheet. That's going to collect all the juices that are going to spill out from it, and it's going to give us a really good surface to shred this beef. Now I am going to pick up a couple onions out of the pot with the beef, which is totally fine. They'll kind of shred up. My mouth is watering so hard. They'll kind of shred up and dissolve in with the beef, but they're going to add flavor, which is great. Same with the garlic cloves that are in there, the smashed garlic cloves. You can pick some of those out too if you want. and include them in with the beef. Now don't throw away this juice quite yet. If you are going to shred this and save the beef, you can add some of this delicious cooking liquid to that beef. Or if you shred this up and you're going to serve it right away, but you want a little extra juiciness, you can drizzle a little bit of this juice over top. To shred this beef up, I'm just going to use 2 forks, and it should just fall apart so easily. Now when you're shredding it, if you come across any really large chunks of fat, you'll want to kind of shred those out and then discard those. The fat is great in there while it's cooking, but if it didn't all render down, the last thing you want is a big bite of fat in your barbecue beef sandwich. All right, we've got this shredded really nice. I'm gonna actually spread it across this pan. And you know, we had the seasoning flavor that we did in the beginning. The braising liquid had a ton of flavor in it, and now we're gonna add a little bit more flavor. We're in flavor country now, people. So remember at the beginning when we made that homemade seasoning, we reserved a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and dry season the beef as well. So you don't wanna just go in and pour this all in. You wanna start with about half of it or a third of it. Dry season the beef. I am gonna add a little bit of this liquid then too. You don't wanna add too much because the cooking liquid can tend to be a little bit greasy, so you don't wanna make your beef greasy, but we want just a little bit of moisture back in there. And I found another garlic clove, so I'm gonna mash that in there. And then I'm gonna toss that seasoning onto all of the shredded beef. And then I'm gonna give it a taste. That is excellent. Excellent, excellent. I am gonna add just a little bit more of the dry seasoning. And then what we're gonna do is punch up that barbecue sauciness, because we are making barbecue shredded beef sandwiches. So we gotta get that barbecue sauce in there. So I'm gonna add a little bit of barbecue sauce to this and get it tossed together. And I'm probably just gonna add about half a cup, because we want this to be, you know, barbecue in flavor, but we wanna give people the option to add more barbecue sauce to their sandwiches and just keep the barbecue sauce kind of light on the actual beef. My mouth is watering so bad. If you don't know, we live in the Kansas City area, and so we love barbecue flavors. You know, and traditionally when you go to a barbecue restaurant, it's smoked meats, which is so good. But we just love, you know, traditional barbecue as well. We love Kansas City Joe's, excellent. That's our favorite place to go. But we also do love Jack Stack. And so that's the sauce that I have here that I'm adding to the beef. I'm gonna give it one more taste. It's perfect. Adding the barbecue sauce just adds that barbecue flavor. That's so good. I'm gonna serve this just like this with buns on the side and then some optional toppings for your barbecue sandwich. Creamy coleslaw, pickles, extra barbecue sauce is how we like it. But if you like other barbecue sandwich toppings, go for it. Onion rings are great too. Cheese is actually great too. A little melted provolone. There's a restaurant here in Kansas City called Joe's Kansas City that has the Z-Man sandwich that is so good, and it has melted provolone cheese and an onion ring on it. Really good. So until next time, I hope that this recipe helps you feel like a success at dinner time. And if it does, please go in the comments and let me know about it. I love connecting with you in the comments. So I'll see you next week.